Hey, Abby, thanks for taking the time out of the day to talk about running your first marathon in just over 4 hours. So, to really get a good understanding, how much running experience did you have?
I always didn't call myself a runner because I thought you needed to run long and you need to be fast. So I thought those were the two things. And I never had any formal training. I never really ran when I was in high school. I did things like soccer and taekwondo and dance. The athleticism was always there, but I really probably didn't start running until, maybe after high school. I was kind of going through a period of like uncertainty, and for some reason, just on my own, I started just running, and then I signed up for a 5K within a month and a half of running after graduation, and just by myself, no other influence or anything. And then that's why I chose the Twin Cities Marathon, because I'm from there. And then the 5K was the first race, and I thought it was so amazing. I've never been to like a big event like that, and I just thought it was so cool with all those marathon runners. And I said, one day I'll do this. So I kind of was like, maybe in a couple of years, or maybe when I hit 20, so some kind of big milestone. It was just like I never knew if I was doing it right. I was never part of a running club or anything like that. But it really wasn't until, I would say, during the pandemic, when I really started being more focused and having it more consistent. I didn't like run my first half marathon until last year. So it wasn't really like the long distance wasn't in anything I really engaged in until last year. And I did 4 half marathons last year. So each one was able to get a little bit faster. And then I think this year, in the beginning of January-ish, I was like, okay, I think, the Twin Cities is going to open up again. I think I could do this. I think I could do the training. I didn't know, but I was like, it's either now or never. I mean, I was already past my 40 years, and I was like, well, I'm not going to run a marathon when I'm 50, like, my first marathon. So I was like, I have to. I feel like I'm in pretty good shape, but I think it's just knowing what it takes to get to that commitment and that length of time. So yeah, that's my running history.
Cool, thanks for that. And so, what was like the biggest challenge you were facing before joining the program? You mentioned you ran several half marathons last year, but going from 13.1 to 26.2, it's a bit of a different beast there, a lot farther. So, what was like the uncertainty? What was that challenge you were facing training for your first marathon?
I think being in Texas, I mean, anybody who asks whether they love the heat or not, it's definitely the heat. Get through the gruel summer, and knowing that that's kind of when I was starting the training. So it's not like I had done long distances before. It's like, oh, I'm battling the heat and the long distances. So it was that initially, and having to just figure out timing the heat, and then also juggling, because I do other stuff like I do Camp Gladiator, and I do Spartan things, and so I like to do other events, other things in my body. But so it's kind of juggling. That was another balance of how does running fit into that, and then how does actually running and having a goal, because before I would just sign up for runs, but I didn't really have a goal. So I think those were two of the initial things, and then debating, well, did I need to go on a program? Can I figure this out on my own? Am I motivated enough? Because I have a lot of runner friends. I know running clubs. I ran with them, but I've just never been seriously committed. And then I think I was just scared to commit to something or commit to someone, because I was like, well, it's really easy to make excuses. So it's like, well, if you tell me to do this, then I'm having to be accountable to somebody. But that's what I needed. You know what I mean? Like I needed like a format. I needed something like concrete, something like that I just couldn't like decide, well, I'm going to do this one day, this day, and then do this the next day, because my running was all over the place. I never knew what made sense as far as distances each week, the type, the speed, how I needed to incorporate the strength training. So I think that's why I turned towards you, looking at a few other different coaches and stuff. But I think it was like, okay, there's something there that I can't or teach myself for this specific run.
Got you. The structure and the training plan, and then you just mentioned that you considered multiple options between working with me, working with other coaches. So why did you decide to work with me? And then what would you notice that was different compared to between my program and then maybe other people? And then you mentioned you're in groups. What was like the big difference, and why did you decide to work with me specifically?
Well, I think it's because I don't run a lot. I like to run, but I'm not one of those avid runners that needs to get out every day or every other day. So I like that yours was very simplified, like 3 runs, and it's really like short, medium, long, and it was doable, something that I knew that I could do, and not have to be like, oh, because every run for me is hard. Like, like I can, at the end of the day, I can have a really good run, but in the beginning, it's always like, okay, just a mental challenge, whether it's 1 mile or 10 miles. But so it seemed like okay, this is something I can do. I have 4 kids. I have a lot going on, but I really think like if I'm going to be serious, I can do this. So I like that format. And then also, but I do like that you were focused on working on the muscles and how that will get me through because that was something different than I've seen or heard or read about. Usually you just think it's logging miles. You just do what you're going to do on the day of. And it's not that. There's a lot more challenges that go into. And then also how you incorporate when you are pushing yourself physically, especially with strength training, because that is one of my weak points. You have to have a mental mindset with that. You have to be able to say one more rep, or hey, today I'm gonna do an extra 5 pounds because I know I can do it. But it's getting through that and like pushing through that barrier, which is going to translate to the last few miles on a marathon. So that was something new. I guess I never really thought about in all my years of training how that can tie in and benefit and help from injury and also from discipline and the mental game. So I think there was just a new format and I was like, okay, I like this. This is doable and it's a new approach.
And so, talk a little about your marathon, right? Your first marathon, you finished in 4 hours and 3 minutes. You mentioned that you were scared going into it. So, like, what was that experience like? Were you happy with your results? Talk a little about your marathon.
I was excited. I chose purposely, like, I didn't want to do this with anybody. Like, I could have asked somebody, hey, do you want to do this run with me? But it was something like I just really wanted to do my own. I stayed with my mom, but it was just like my own thing. I didn't, so I was completely fine traveling on my own. And of course, leading up to it, like that whole week, I still like ran a little bit. I might have done a couple of CG classes. I made sure to really rest. Thursday, I think Friday was when I traveled. Really didn't do anything Friday except and then Saturday was the expo. And I think I did a little light run because Sunday was the thing. So the whole probably Friday, Saturday, it was just like excited and anxious. Excited because I was like, hey, like in my mind, I was like, I'm just going to go and have fun because this might be my only marathon. I just thought this was one thing that I really wanted to do. And I don't ever know if I'm going to have another desire to do this kind of run again. But again, it wasn't really the run. It was just being there and having that experience of doing and being in my hometown and having that and knowing, wow, everything that I thought of when I was 18 and now I'm here and I finally like this is the one of the few things I was able to check off. And I was really worried about post run, like the recovery. I think I mentioned that like I'm always worried about the recovery afterwards because I want to always be able to do things after and not injure myself. So there's that kind of anxiety. And I think that's something you come with age. Like I don't think I worried about things when I was younger about, oh, am I going to hurt myself and how am I going to feel after a couple of weeks? I wanted to be able to walk out of that run and know I could do some workouts later that week. But once I got on the course, so that morning, Sunday morning, I think I got there an hour early. It was like 52 degrees, perfect conditions, not very windy. So it was like a perfect morning. And the course was really not that hilly, so not a lot of elevation. So I went in feeling really good. I mean, I got my typical 6 hours of sleep, so not the best. What I ate that weekend wasn't the greatest. It was just whatever, Use some of the tips that you had said about just kind of how the pacing stuff. So thought about that, and then just kind of went a little faster than my training pace, I guess, in the summer, and just and took a lot of pictures. So I didn't post them all, but I every mile marker that they had, like 3 miles, 8 miles, whatever. So I had someone take a picture of me. I took a lot of pictures along the run. So all in reality, I probably could have definitely shaved off more than 5 minutes just because I did take a lot of pictures, but those were my breaks. I didn't walk. But those are my little breaks. So those 30-second breaks of taking a picture, enjoying the scenery. It was a beautiful morning, lots of people, lots of crowd. My mom was there, like trying to catch up. But even like around mile 18, because that's when it was like, oh, I haven't ever ran past more than 18 miles ever in my life. And so I was concerned how I'd feel. But then after mile 18, I was like, oh, I'm still feeling really good. Still kind of maintain the same pace of pretty much, my fuels and my water and everything. Like I didn't get sick, because I was worried about just having to go to the bathroom and feeling ill or whatever. You never know how you're going to feel that day. And then I kind of and I've really never looked at my watch. I was like, okay, the pace, but I never was like, oh, I'm 3 hours in. I just more was like, okay, I hit past 18. And then kind of how you were like, okay, hit a few more, like have all those little goals, just like one more mile. But I really it was actually like a pretty good all in all race. I didn't feel like I was dying because I really wanted a little bit left in the tank. I was like, I don't want to hit the last mile and then walk. That was what I was worried about, having to walk that last mile. So I was like, I don't want to walk across that finish line. So that's why I kind of just, I feel like now I was like, gosh, I probably could have but I started definitely like cramping a little bit in my calves, probably like, the last couple. But again, I still felt really good. And then I finished. And then, like I said, I probably could have gone a little bit longer, just because I didn't like go completely out. Like I was like racing to qualify for something. So it was just to race. And then I just wanted to make a good time. And then I beat my time that in my head that I wanted. So yeah, I mean, it really was like the perfect run.
Yeah, and so since that marathon was, what you just said, a perfect run, like what does life look like now? Do you want to run more marathons? Do you want to beat your time? Are you done? What's the future look like?
I decided it's not going to be one and done. It's because I felt good Tuesday. So Sunday, went home or, with my family, had dinner. Then Monday morning, I flew back to Dallas, kind of walked maybe Monday night. Tuesday, I worked out again. And then Wednesday, I probably really started like running again. And so when I was like, wow, my body isn't that bad and I can recover, okay, I could probably do another marathon. So it wasn't like, oh, I hit 4:03. And it was, hey, my body is saying, you can do this again.
Got you. And just last question for you. Let's say someone's watching this case study and they're on the fence about joining the program. Maybe they want to run the first half, first full, or whatever. What would you tell someone that's on the fence about joining this program?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helped me. Like I said, the takeaways are it was the format. Like that's what helped me as far as like it was doable in my life. Everybody's lives are different. Mine is very busy, and also I just need somebody sometimes to just tell me this is what you're gonna do. And you were super like, some coaches can be like really strict, and you have to, send them stuff every day and all your stats. So I like that you had your layout and you had your format, and you were always available if there was a question or anything that I needed, but you really left it up to us. And that's kind of what happens at the end of the day. It's really up to us as individuals to do your format or somebody else's format or whatever we may create in our head. You can't do the run for us. So like I appreciated your approach and that you weren't too much in the face, but then it was like you were there. Yeah, I mean, I was very happy, and I was, I thought it was just successful, and it was something that I just needed my time of my life. And like I said, it's definitely doable, and it was something new. So those are all the reasons why I chose, to go with you.